The Ravens had this game in the bag. Up 40-25 with less than 9 minutes left. It looked impossible to lose. But in just a matter of minutes, everything flipped. The defense fell apart. Josh Allen took over in unbelievable fashion. And the very next day, a former NFL MVP didn't hold back from ripping the team. What looked like a comfortable Sunday night when turned into a nightmare. Baltimore let another golden opportunity slip, got blasted with criticism, and left one big question hanging. Can this team really win when it matters most? This game felt locked up. Baltimore built a 40-25 lead with under 9 minutes left. And at that moment, everyone was already picturing the ending, a statement win in prime time against one of the AFC's best. But that's not how it played out. What should have been a defining victory turned into one of the ugliest collapses of the season, as the Ravens' defense disappeared right when it was needed most. For 3 quarters, the defense had done its job. Only 19 points allowed, solid control of the game, and giving Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry enough cushion to close it out. But once the fourth quarter hit, it all unraveled. In just 15 minutes, Baltimore surrendered 22 points, completely overwhelmed by a Josh Allen surge no one saw coming. And it wasn't just the points. It was the way it happened. Wide open passing lanes, chunk plays downfield, and no answers at all. Baltimore gave up 251 passing yards in the fourth quarter alone. It was like their entire defensive game plan evaporated in real time. What once looked steady suddenly turned fragile, and Allen carved them up like it was nothing. The crazy part is, this isn't new for Baltimore. This wasn't just a random loss. It was another entry in a growing list of games where the Ravens, despite all their talent, find ways to collapse late. It feels like déjà vu. They can build leads, but they can't seem to slam the door shut when the clock starts winding down. And that's where the voice of experience came in. A former NFL MVP weighed in right away, and he didn't sugarcoat a thing. For him, this wasn't about Buffalo's brilliance. This was about Baltimore giving it away. The morning after, the conversation was impossible to avoid. On ESPN's First Take, former MVP Cam Newton cut right to it. This wasn't some magical Bills comeback. This was a Ravens collapse. His words hit hard because they went beyond excuses about bad luck or a hot quarterback. He flat out said Baltimore let it slip. Newton pointed directly at Derrick Henry's fumble, calling the kind of mistake you simply cannot make in that spot. To him, that play flipped the entire game, giving Buffalo the spark it needed when everything should have been wrapped up. A single mistake that costly exposes how thin the margin really is at this level. But Newton saved his toughest words for the defense. He called out the 251 passing yards allowed in just one quarter, saying it's flat out unacceptable for a defense that, on paper, should rank among the NFL's best. A team with Super Bowl aspirations can't let an opponent move the ball at will in crunch time, and it carries extra weight coming from Newton. He's been in those games, felt that pressure, and knows how devastating a meltdown like this can be. When a former MVP calls it a collapse, it's more than just numbers. It's about identity, mindset, and the ability to rise when the moment gets tight. That's where the frustration deepens. Because Baltimore's offense delivered. Lamar and Henry produced at a high level, but all got wiped out by defensive breakdowns. That contrast is what makes this loss sting even more, and it sets the stage for the bigger picture. Look at Baltimore's offensive numbers, and you'd wonder how they possibly lost this game. Lamar Jackson was involved in 3 touchdowns, showing off both his arm and his legs. Derrick Henry dominated with 169 rushing yards and 2 scores. That's the exact duo Baltimore envisioned when they built this roster. For most of the night, the formula worked. The offense moved the ball, points kept stacking up, and the scoreboard reflected complete control. Scoring 40 points against a defense like Buffalo's usually seals the deal. It felt like they had done more than enough to walk out winners. But in football, offense alone doesn't win games. You need a defense to finish the job, and that's where everything unraveled. Baltimore entered the fourth quarter cruising, only to leave it completely exposed. Lamar and Henry's huge night meant nothing when the defense couldn't get a single stop down the stretch. That imbalance is what makes this loss so bitter. The offense delivered. The defense crumbled. And that kind of disconnect isn't just about individual mistakes. It points to a deeper problem that goes beyond talent. It's about execution under pressure. And standing on the other sideline was Josh Allen, ready to pounce. The Ravens cracked the door open, and Allen kicked it wide, turning it into one of the most unforgettable comebacks of the year.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Josh Allen put on a show that reminded everyone why he's one of the league's most dominant players. Nearly 400 passing yards for total touchdowns, and doing it all with his team's win probability sitting at just 1.1% in the fourth quarter. He took the game into his own hands and refused to let Buffalo lose. What makes it even more impressive? He wasn't surrounded by elite talent that night. Allen stretched plays with his legs, spread the ball all over the field, and played like a man possessed. It looked like he made a decision. Whatever it takes, we're winning this game. That's the difference between a good quarterback and a superstar. And when the pressure hit its peak, Allen thrived. He pushed the tempo, attacked Baltimore's defense relentlessly, and in the final 4 minutes alone led 2 touchdowns and the game-winning drive for the field goal. Once he caught fire, it felt inevitable that he was going to pull off the comeback. That performance did more than just steal a win. It elevated Allen's name right into the MVP conversation. A primetime comeback against a respected defense. Those are the games that build a case. He showed he can single-handedly tilt the outcome of a game and carry Buffalo on his back. Meanwhile, Baltimore stood frozen, watching another crushing collapse unfold. And for them, this wasn't just a single game. It brought back memories of heartbreaks past and raised real doubts about what's ahead. This wasn't just another regular season loss. It was a painful reminder that Baltimore has seen this movie before, including against this very same opponent. That playoff loss to Buffalo back in January still stung, and now the Ravens have another collapse to add to the list. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Lamar Jackson is still one of the most unique talents in the NFL. Derrick Henry proved he's still got plenty left in the tank. On paper, this roster stacks up with the league's best. But none of that matters if the team can't close out games when the lights are brightest. The Bills' game laid bare 2 fatal flaws: a defense that buckles under pressure, and offense that can't afford back-breaking turnovers in crunch time. Those mistakes keep Baltimore stuck in the same place, close to greatness, but never across the finish line. And the danger is losses like this start to snowball. In the NFL, narratives matter, and the Ravens are building the reputation of a team that finds ways to lose, that eats at confidence and lingers every time they find themselves in another close game. At some point, that cycle has to break. The talent is there. The opportunity is there. But the question remains, will Baltimore finally figure out how to finish these big games? Or are we just watching the same story on repeat when the playoffs roll around? This wasn't just about losing to the Bills. It was a snapshot of the very issues that keep haunting Baltimore. An explosive offense that delivers points, paired with a defense that collapses when the game hangs in the balance. It doesn't matter how good Lamar and Henry are, the same mistakes keep showing up in the final minutes. So now the question hangs heavy. Do the Ravens learn from this meltdown, or are they destined to relive it when the stakes are even higher? The clock is ticking, the pieces are in place, but until they prove they can actually finish, Baltimore will be remembered not for what they could achieve, but for what they let slip away.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.